Pound.
In a world,
Shut the hell up.
where Carolina Panthers fans
Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding.
have an insatiable thirst
I need to see a lot more of that shit going forward.
for Panthers news and opinions.
All my C3 brethren from the C3 Legion.
Only one podcast roars ferociously.
The longest running Panthers podcast on the internet.
It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Oh, Greg, I owe y'all $100, man.
Can the Carolina Panthers still be in the playoff hunt? Are they? Will Adam Thielen make a difference to this offense, or what difference will he make? Are the young boys stepping forward? Sure seems like it. Bryce Young gets 2 wins in a row consecutively. Can you believe that? Consecutive wins. And he may be the savior. He may be the future. On top of that, it turns out he was terrible against zone coverage, but maybe he's finding a way to pick it apart. That plus more on the C3 Panthers podcast, the longest running Panthers podcast, each and every Tuesday night. We rock with you, folks. It's the by fans, for fans, and I hang with my wheelman, Cody Lack. What's up, my friend?
Tony Dunn. Nowhere I'd rather be on a Tuesday night than sitting here with my boys talking Panther football. We have the bye week upon us, but we are coming off 2 big-time victories in a row. There's finally a little bit of excitement around this Panthers team when just a couple of weeks ago we were talking about what felt worse, this season or 2023. Dude, the difference a couple of weeks makes is genuinely wild. But we have a big show in store for all the fans tonight. We have the return of Adam Thielen, the ascendance of the big three, Jatavion Sanders, Jalen Coker, and Xavier Lee continuing to tear it up. We have to talk about the impact that DJ Wonnum has had in his first start as a Carolina Panther, was out there wreaking havoc. He was a sorely needed addition to this Panthers defensive line. But Tony Dunn, in spite of all of that, man, you know that we're going to do this with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. You know them and love them. It's AJ Brooks, Anthony Brown, the brand ambassador, Diesel Skills. What's up, brother? Daniel Berry, Sports Highlights, David Screws, Jorge Marcelo, Justin K, Muscles Marinara Paisan. What's up with you, brother? Promiscuous Panda, Panther Gal 73, Thomas DeVries, Joey the Blind Panther, Wakanda Forever, and Panther Pickle. Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The number's 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. We'd love to get your thoughts on the Carolina Panthers, how these last couple of weeks have changed your views, or I guess just the morale of Panther Nation. I will caution some people because guess what? The Panthers enjoy this moment. 2 wins in a row. Bye week, savor on it. Let that taste, that good sweetness, just savor it in your mouth. Because the Carolina Panthers do have to play the Chiefs and the Bucs still. I believe the Bucs twice, to be honest. They still got to get they got the Eagles coming up against us. The Cowboys actually might be a win. So there's one more win on the schedule potentially. And maybe that Falcons game could be a dub, but still.
Maybe it's not the Kansas City Chiefs, Tony Dunn.
Hey, you know what? Enjoy it while you can. And I know someone who's enjoying it right now. That's CK. CK, did Brian Dable get fired by any chance?
No, but not yet. But I mean, here's the thing: they're not far from it. There's no way they can be. He's living off of his first season and finding a way to make it to the playoffs. Right now, that team is in turmoil. I really don't see any light at the end of the tunnel for them unless they can find a quarterback that can come in and turn things around, which even right now just seems like an unlikely outcome based on the fact that their offense is inept. But there are other firings in the NFL and things like that we're going to talk about. One that promotes a former Panthers coach to offensive coordinator again. So we'll see how that goes with another rookie quarterback.
Somebody in the chat said Tony's in a new place every week. It's really kind of like every other week. This player got to find a place to lay his head somewhere different sometimes these days. But guess what? We still going to get this sucker done. We ain't missing anything. Wow, we are missing my cool background, better mic, better lighting. I'm still going to bring it to y'all tonight. Make sure you smash the thumbs up button, subscribe, be a part of our community by commenting. If you're listening to the show later, leave a comment on YouTube. Share the show. Be a friend. Tell a friend. Like Pat McAfee says, share the podcast. If you're watching on Twitter, hit that repost. If you're on Facebook, hit that like, repost, or reshare, or whatever the hell it's called. And you know what? Just thanks for being with us. Thanks for being with us. Cody Lack, let's jump into that.
Yeah, man. Also, real quick, you know what's funny? It was Joey the Blind Panther who said that.
How's he know?
How does he know? Joey, how did you even? Are you listening to the echo in the background? Like how? I mean, there's like you can hear the reverb in the room behind you, but nothing.
Okay. I am in a big room.
That's hilarious, man. Well,
that's awesome.
Look, we appreciate y'all for jumping on and participating, being in the chat room, having the C3 Panthers podcast, be a part of your Tuesday nights. We appreciate having all of you. Let's jump into the show, man. There's no reason not to. Can the Panthers still compete for the NFC South? And we'll jump into that, but let's take care of all the business of all the more recent news that we just recently found out. Boys, Adam Thielen is set to return to the Panthers offense. He will be available the next time we see Bryce Young and the Panthers take the field. Panthers activate Adam Thielen from IR a few hours before his window was set to close. Thielen hasn't played since injuring his hamstring in week 3, diving to catch a Bryce Young touchdown pass. He was Bryce Young's favorite target last year with 103 catches for 1,014 yards. Boys, are we pumped for the return of Adam Thielen? Now that you've seen Bryce start to advance a little bit, continue to get better, what do we think Adam Thielen can do to this offense returning with, Jalen Coker, Jatavion Sanders, Leggett? What does this do to the Panthers on offense?
I think he helps a lot more than he did maybe a month ago before the trade deadline, before you got rid of before you traded away Deontay Johnson. You had Deontay Johnson, you had Xavier Leggett, you had Coker coming up. Mingo was gone, thank goodness. But, you really have had 3 young players, brand new players, that have had to take on a big role and have done pretty well at it. Let's caution about how just productive they've been. I think each kid just had 3 catches last week. But hey, is that bringing a guy in to play the slot that is super reliable, that has had chemistry with Bryce Young in the past? If anything, is that this adds a 4th piece to that offensive, to that passing game, and just gives us a needed body out there to take some of the reps off of some of these guys in case somebody has to go down or take a breather.
I think that it's my hope is what it's going to do is it's going to, again, just show the young guys how you be a professional in the NFL, right? I know that that's something that they were already kind of learning from him, but now that they've gotten a taste of what it looks like to be successful on the field, it's going to be, that's the hope. The other thing is I'm concerned that it is going to take spots away from the guys that we want to see more frequently get those reps. And so I'm glad that he's coming back. I hope he doesn't become just the security blanket that Bryce Young doesn't look past, because I think that can be a problem for a developing quarterback when you have somebody who's a go-to. As an example, we saw that happen. I know this is weird to say, being that Sam Darnold isn't a developing quarterback, but when you have one target that you're focusing on, you throw 3 interceptions. And that's what happened with Sam Darnold. He threw 3 interceptions, and every single time it was when he was throwing to Justin Jefferson. And so I think when you have a security blanket, you become so reliable on them, or you rely on them so much that maybe you're you're just failing to get to your progressions because you're like, oh, I know he's going to be here. I'm just going to throw the ball there. It's nice for the numbers and it's nice to make it look like our offense is moving, but I just think it could hinder the development of everybody else on the team if that ends up being the case. I'm optimistic that it won't be. I'm hoping that it's only upside, but I do think that there is a fear of mine that he's going to become so saturated with targets that we're going to see a fall off from the rookies.
And that's a good point is, it was so heavy-handed Adam Thielen for last season. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a giant concern.
No.
But you do wonder if it's like first look all the time.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I think that Thielen, especially for Bryce in his rookie season, like we said, he did serve that role of a safety blanket, a guy that was getting the most amount of separation. He has dependable hands. He rarely ever drops anything. And I think that especially early last year, there was that over-dependence on getting the ball to Adam, which is sort of what CK was just talking about. However, the thing that I'm heartened by is that Bryce Young is having to play different this year. He's having to get the ball to different players. He's having to get the rookie guys involved, which we're going to discuss here in a minute. But Bryce continues to take some of these steps forward. And I think we're hoping that with Bryce's continued involvement, that maybe we're going to continue to see some more good things with him spreading the ball around. Tony, you mentioned this in the opening dialogue. Bryce Young completed 10 of 12 passes against zone coverage for 85 yards, including his first career touchdown against such coverage. Entering week 10, Young had thrown 0 touchdowns and 9 interceptions on 444 attempts against zone coverage. Is this Bryce just getting better with time and reps and having more time to essentially learn on the fly? And what did you equivocate this success to? What did you put the blame on? Is it just Bryce taking a next step, or is it coaching, or is it the players around him starting to perform and play a little better?
CK, your thoughts?
I think it's a mixture of a few things. I think I don't think the pressure's on his shoulders as much as it was. He knows that he does, like, everybody's expectations of what Bryce Young is has dropped, right? So he's no longer dealing with this high pressure situation. He's had some time to get to understand the offense. I do think that you can learn from other people's mistakes, while sometimes it's hard to learn from your own. And so with him being out, he was able to see the mistakes Andy Dalton was making. And I think you're a little more open to, I don't know how you boys feel, but when you see somebody else make a mistake, you're like, oh, I'm not going to do that. But if you make a mistake, if you're a bit prideful, you're going to be a bit more hesitant to change your behaviors because you don't want to admit that you were maybe the problem. And so I think maybe there's some value in seeing other people make the mistakes and then being able to learn from it on the sideline. But man, I just think it could just be a situation where he's just getting used to the playmakers, the offense, the way that Canales calls plays and things like that. And to be fair, we haven't necessarily played great teams the past 2 weeks either, so that helps out a little bit.
Tony, before you answer, I think that benching was easily, whether you love Bryce going forward or hate him, whatever, that benching was easily the best thing that happened to him. Since returning from being benched, Bryce Young is completing 62% of his passes, has gone 55 of 88 for 521 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, which he still needs to bring down a little bit, and he has an 80.4 passer rating. This is while playing 2/3 of the games with 2 rookies starting wide receivers and a rookie tight end.
Let's just hold up a second, folks. Like, let's slow down on, is Bryce arrived and stuff like that. Look, how about this? You want to know why my man is doing better against zone coverage? You want to know why he's just doing a little bit better overall, is he was in a mental downward spiral. It was like where it was to the point of where just trying to make it better, it was getting worse throughout last season and as the beginning of this season unfolded. The benching, like you said, gave him a mental reprieve, right? I mean, it gave him a mental reprieve. The guy has had 3 games. He's had 2 wins in a row. He's had, just to let you know his stats a little bit, is he had 224 yards passing against Denver in a loss, where kind of some of the bulk of that came towards the back end of the game. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He had 171 yards against New Orleans, who had none of their starters in the secondary. And he had 126 yards passing against the New York Giants, who still pushed this game to overtime, who are just as bad, if not as bad, as the Carolina Panthers. Now, before you go, oh my God, he's hating on Bryce. And just think this is that he was spiraling the toilet mentally. And that just gave him a moment to go and catch some fresh air, take a walk, and get out of his own head for a minute. Now, is he playing a lot better than he was playing? Certainly, right? I mean, but we got to remind you guys, or I want to remind everybody that Chuba Hubbard had more rushing yards than Bryce Young had passing yards. You'd be like, oh, there's drops, there's this and that. I think Bryce is just finally doing it's just not, everything is not going wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
And these are the things, to be honest, it's this against zone coverage that I thought he would be the best at, coming in. So look, I think Bryce, look, I'm happy that he got that mental reprieve. I'm happy that it seems like the yips have, he's kind of shaken them off, because it seemed like it was almost impossible to do at one point. And I think a lot of this has come because the Carolina Panthers have had a very good offensive line and a formidable, beyond formidable rushing attack, a very strong rushing attack. And Bryce is doing, he is doing what I want him to do, and that is to not go out there and all of a sudden to have 500 yards passing and say, oh my God, he's this. Like, it's just get better from week to week, gain a little bit more confidence from week to week. So look, I'm ready to clap about it, but I'm not all of a sudden just going to sit here and say this guy is out there dog walking everybody.
Yeah, I 100% agree, man. We have not yet seen enough, in my opinion, to say that he is the future, but I like that he's doing just enough to run the offense and play in rhythm, which is, I think, what we've always wanted him to do. And shout out to New Key, who says the O-line is playing great, which can't be overstated. Yes. Every good offense and every good team has a good offensive line. And even through backups having to sub in, we have a dominant interior O-line that has continued to give, no matter who the quarterback is, if it's Andy Dalton or Bryce Young, they're giving them a pocket with which to sit in, be able to scan, survey the field, and take care of the football. And Bryce Young is taking care of the football. At least he did last game. I want him to continue to to get down on the interceptions. I also think that he still needs to clean up some of the footwork things that cause him to be a little bit late and miss a little bit high on some of those throws. But we're starting to see the move in the right direction. And there's been this sort of conspiracy theory that Dave Canales doesn't really like Bryce Young, or he doesn't believe in him fully, which, again, is understandable to the first part of the year. But every opportunity that we've given him since then, he has done nothing but continue to show up and continue to work and put in the time and try and be a good leader for this team. And I think that he's stepped up. He's done some good things, but he has to continue to do so. The rest of this year is Bryce Young's audition time to be the full-time starter for the Carolina Panthers at quarterback. I don't think anything should be gifted to him. But I do give him a credit. He is moving in the right direction.
Yeah,
What
I'm
more could you
happy.
possibly want?
I'm happy for him. I don't have any. I'm not. I hope. I think this is people just always think that it's if we're not celebrating or just jumping up and down that I'm being critical. I'm not being critical. I'm happy that he's getting better. In fact, this is a great time to go on to the next point here. Let me pull it up on my computer so I can read it a little more clearly today. And I have, just because of life and, stuff that's going on, I've been a lot less active on Twitter over the last, 7 months. Right. And so today I just got a message from somebody who had just followed me, and I don't even care. But it was it's from, his name is @Shota Tommy. He said, he hit me up and he says, I've been looking at your Twitter to see what you had to say about Bryce, but you quiet as shit now. And I said, well, you can hear what I got to say on the podcast. He said, honestly, he replied, if you're not apologizing to Bryce, I don't want to hear it. All last year, you were kicking him while he was down. Now I bet you're on there with a changed tone. And then I was like, man, and then I couldn't resist. I was just like 126 yards. He went on to say, and then
You
it was
sure he didn't think it was me?
Well, see, that's the other thing is for some reason, is that the C3 Panthers podcast to a lot of people outside of, the regular listeners is just seen as one voice.
Right.
It's just like we're up here. It's like a one monotone or like one unison is like we have different opinions. We change them. And to be honest, I was like, and I just didn't have time to over engage it and stuff like this. But it was like, I was like, dude, go pull up my Twitter and see where I've just shit on this dude. I really would love to see it. I was like, have I been congratulatory to him at every moment? No. I have not been a negative Nelly on the dude, I don't feel like. And then he was like, you were talking all the media shit that he's too small. He doesn't have the arm strength. He doesn't have this. And I wanted to say, is he taller all of a sudden? Does he all of a sudden have a cannon that I didn't like? Is at the end of the day is Bryce was drafted number 1 overall, and there was a tremendous amount of pressure and expectations put on him as a player. Whether that's fair to him or not, I don't know. But you know what? It comes with the territory. And it turns out that this podcast and me, Little Tony, who runs the C3 Panthers Podcast Twitter, which is my personal Twitter, by the way, at the same time, I really try to keep it to sports, but I just do whatever the hell I want since I started it 12 years ago. I'm the only one that uses it. Is the damn organization put those pressures on him. They're the ones that have been tougher on him than anybody. We're just as tough. And look, I have, just to be clear, I don't know if I don't even feel the need to defend myself, is that, Bryce did not play as well as anybody had expected or hoped he would in year one. What we said overall, and you can go back and listen and find any tweet you want or whatever, and I don't care. I don't got the time to deal with it. But that there were a lot of questions last year about the team that he went to, the effectiveness of the offensive line, the incompetency of the coaching staff, the lack of talent. So there were a lot of ifs, buts, and all of that. After 2 games this season, the head coach, a brand new head coach who was brought in to ultimately mentor Bryce, who really probably staked his whole job in the job interview about how he could really work with this, decided to bench the dude. And And I just say, man, I'm just glad that he's incrementally improving. I don't need the guy to come out and all of a sudden be Tom Brady.
But let's also be truthful that there is a large subsection of Bryce Young fans. I don't even call some of them Panthers fans. I call them Bryce Young fans. They have assumed him to be the de facto mascot of the Carolina Panthers. And we've always been very honest. Bryce Young was not good last year. He was not good to start the season this year. And we were very open and honest about his level of play, especially considering what we traded up to get him. Now, by the way, I've been very congratulatory of Bryce recently, and everybody jumps down my throat telling me to stay on that side and, oh, you're not allowed to be a fan. So it's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. We're going to continue to keep it real. When Bryce Young plays well and continues to build and grow, we're going to tell you as such. If Bryce Young is out there still missing people, still not seeing open wide receivers, still playing, at very low-level football, escaping the pocket when there's no need to, making the wrong checks at the line. If he continues to do all those things, we're going to be honest and say that too. There's just no reason for us to blow smoke up your ass and feed you a line of bullshit in order to tell you what you want to hear. We're never going to do that. And like my man Diesel Skill says, C3 is a collective now, man. Me, you, CK, we have everyone in the C3 Legion. So a lot of us have opinions that'll go viral, and then people assume that's all of us. Well, no, there's a whole lot of us, and we're all going to continue to have an open dialogue about the Carolina Panthers, and we're going to see who's right or wrong. But that's what you should be doing. Literally what everyone should be doing.
And there's one other point to that is even when you say, let's see who's right or wrong, is that I just turned 43 on Monday. I am starting to get to the point in my life to where I don't think I know everything, and to me, it's not being about, for me, myself, it's not about me being right or wrong. It's just me talking about what we're experiencing as fans or what I'm experiencing. And to be honest, I think that I have been disappointed and critical of Bryce,
right?
But not beyond measure, not to some extreme. And the idea of me rooting against him is just patently false. I have questioned at times, and I think this is a legitimate question. Man, look, I could be wrong. I mean, it's not it's not about me being right. Is that it almost does seem that there is a requisite skill set or a requisite physical skill set to play at the highest of high levels. And while you can give me examples of people who have defied those odds, they are anomalies, and so you can point to Drew Brees and you can point to Doug Flutie, who was 30 years before that. But I mean, he is. I would, and I said this in the post-game show.
He's an outlier for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, you can still tell that his height is not an advantage. I see it. To me, it kind of looks like he's seeing things and he doesn't know if he's going to, and he kind of throws to a spot at times. Like he's kind of, I don't know. Look, I'm happy. What I'm most happy, there are two things I'm happy about with what has happened with Bryce in the last 2 weeks. One, I'm happy to see a young man whose career hasn't been tossed away potentially prematurely, because of the whims of football fans and the need for success immediately in the NFL. So that's number one is I hate the idea that these guys are out there fighting and trying to get their best to succeed. And the world can toss them to the side in a heartbeat. And yeah, you can point to the C3 Panthers podcast, but you can also point to NFL organizations and GMs who do this all the time to all types of players. But the other thing is I'm most happy to see a guy who's wearing a Panther uniform, whose career is not necessarily over in Carolina.
Yeah,
Who
man.
can maybe be the starting quarterback next year and the year after if this trajectory continues.
Yeah. And CK, some familiar names that we can sort of use to further this discussion. So we're hearing that Thomas Brown is now taking over as the offensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears after the Bears offense has been absolutely abysmal to the point where people are comparing Bryce Young's first 9 career NFL starts to Caleb Williams. And basically, because everybody's been very down on Bryce and now people are starting to be down on Caleb Williams. CK, just in general, what did you make of Bryce, his trajectory going forward? Do you think he can continue to get better and grow? And just what do you see in the cards for Bryce?
Well, yes, obviously I do think he can get better. I think that he's never, and I say reluctantly never, but he's never going to be the center of an offense. But I feel like he has the ability, if he can, put things together to where he can be the point guard of the team, right? And that's kind of what you were hoping he would be. And so I think that there is some optimism to be had about it, what he's able to bring to the table. I just don't know that he's ever going to be exciting to watch. I just don't know that we're going to be watching him and thinking, oh my gosh, I just feel like he made a throw that nobody else could make. And so I want to see him succeed. I really do. I want to see him come in here, and I want him to prove me wrong on that front, because I really believe that that's the best thing for the Panthers. If this dude can turn it on, and I tell you what, if he can do it against the Chiefs, that would be do I think we're going to win that? No. But I tell you what, he's going to shut a lot of people up if he comes out and he can perform at a high level against the Chiefs defense, which has been one of the better ones in the NFL.
Yeah. Shout out to the boy White Chocolate with a $2 C3 bomb. He says he calms down and breathes and got his mind right. Looks like that's where we're at.
Do you remember, Cody, who my comp was for Bryce Young?
Alex Smith.
Yeah, I called him the short black Alex Smith. And Alex Smith came out of the league with
Wasn't Alex Smith really short too?
No. He was like 6'1" or 6'3".
Okay.
He was mobile enough, but not too. He was mobile enough, but not super. He's from the draft with Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah, he could move. I remember he could move.
Yeah, Alex Smith went number 1 overall. Aaron Rodgers falls to like whatever, the 32nd, whatever it was, he fell. Alex Smith had a successful college career. He was deemed as a guy that between the ears, that was his greatest strength. He had all the skill. He had nothing fantastic. Wasn't like his mobility was out of crazy, but he was mobile, right? He didn't have a cannon, but he had an arm, a good enough arm, right? He was a guy that knew how to play that they thought was NFL ready. Now, Alex Smith went to the San Francisco 49ers, dumps the, terrible, tough organization who, interestingly, was 2 years later, I think, after Alex Smith was drafted, Harbaugh came in, played 1 year with Alex Smith. Then they moved on. They traded him to Kansas City Chiefs. But it wasn't until like year 4 or 5 that Alex Smith really started to get after it. And that was also with Andy Reid. I believe it was with Andy Reid. I don't know if it was Andy Reid was there yet or he joined him. I guess the point that I'm making is that those same circumstances faced Alex Smith, and they almost threatened to destroy his career in the beginning too. And that is, you're here to be the savior, and you didn't do it single-handedly. Now, is that fair? Don't know. Actually, I will say it's fair. That's just the kind of that comes with the position of the number 1 overall pick. That comes with the payment. That comes with the prestige. That comes with all the glory. Comes all of that. And so that is, what we're talking about is, and really, and honestly, if we went back and redid all of this and thought about it, and this is where a place I will say I was wrong. I thought it was necessary for the Panthers last year to start Bryce Young. I thought there was no reason not to. I thought, hey, might as well just accelerate his development by playing him. He's better than anything you got anyway. But what we saw is that, hey, that kind of, that not everything works for each player the same. Just because some players come in and thrive from day one doesn't mean another guy will, and also doesn't mean that they're going to fail because they don't. And so, look, I agree with you, Cody, is that the benching in so many ways seems like the best thing that could happen to him. Easily
the best thing that could happen to him, to the point where I'm excited to see what he does. Like, again, to anyone who labels us haters, we've said this multiple times. We would much rather Bryce Young turn it around and become a really good quarterback rather than us have to continue to do this all the time, wondering who our starting quarterback is going to be next year and the year after. And do we sign a free agent, or do we draft one, or are we going to be, in enough of a range to even be able to do that? So, again, man, I think we're all pulling for Bryce, but he also has a lot left to prove, and that's fair. And I think that's the stance that most of us are taking. We only have 3 more slides of offense. Then I say we jump into some calls. So how about this, man? Rookie receiving yards leaders through week 10, the Carolina Panthers. Man, we're doing things. Because how about we have not 1, not 2, but 3 rookies on the rookie receiving yards leaders, with Xavier Legette at 284, followed by Jalen Coker at 263, and Jatavion Sanders at 253. And I think this is part of what we need to mention heavily when talking about the success of Bryce Young. Because so much of the success of Bryce Young has been these 3 men making big plays when it matters most, when he had no one else to depend on but these other guys who are trying to make a name for themselves. I think all the credit in the world has to be given to Dan Morgan and Brent Tillis and everyone that was in this front office during the draft room. Now you see what Dan Morgan was talking about, or what he envisioned when he signed DJ Wanham to that contract. But, man, these young guns, they're so impressive, dude. Who has been your favorite amongst these 3 dudes to this point?
I mean, Coker has got to be the guy. I mean, he's made, some impressive catches. He hasn't really made a mistake from my recollection. He might have had a drop maybe, but Xavier Legette has had more eye-popping mistakes than Coker has. So I just got to say Coker, just again, based on the fact that the dude came in here as an undrafted rookie and was able to, impress in training camp, but even more so impress in real-time gameplay action. I mean, when you think about the fact that the dude, had that first catch of the it was a really good pass from Bryce, but like an even better catch where Jalen Coker almost had to catch up to the ball and he had to perfectly high point the ball while still maintaining in stride. I think that was such an impressive throw and catch, and I just think that dude has so much potential, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he develops moving forward, to be honest with you.
I'm with CK, easily Coker. Part of this, though, has to do with, again, the expectations that come with a first-round draft pick or a high draft pick. Is like when I was in graduate school, and it was a real difficult and challenging transition in the first semester, right? Like, I mean, it was like a big leap. But as you start to get your sea legs and some different things, you get better. But I remember I got, like, my thesis advisor was one of these guys that he's awesome. He's like one of the top 5 most important people in my life, and definitely one of the top outside of anybody that's related to me. But he's a dude that doesn't give out compliments like trick or treat candy. In fact, so much. I just heard from a friend, and this is kind of a short side story about this, is my friend Wilson York, who same thesis advisor, went to graduate school with me. This mug went on Jeopardy, dude. He went on Jeopardy, and he lost. He came in second place. He lost by $3. And I don't know if anybody watches Jeopardy, but he lost with over $30,000. Like, people win Jeopardy all the time with like 18, 20. I mean, the guy that beat him knew that he was going to go all in on Final Jeopardy. He knew exactly what they both had to get it right. He knew the exact $3 more what to bet or whatever. But I remember after it aired, I called Carl. We call him by his first name because I know him that well. But I said, Carl, did you see Wilson on Jeopardy? And I swear his first thing he said was, yeah, he really blew the Golden Globes category, right? Like, I mean, the dude freaking was like killing it. And the first thing he said, critical. But I remember I was in his office and I got a compliment on my research and the research paper I wrote for that class that semester. And I said this, and I was trying to milk it. I was trying to get a second compliment. And I said, yeah, man, I worked so hard, blah, blah, blah. He said, hold up. You're supposed to work that. You're supposed to work hard. You're not supposed to get a compliment for what you're supposed to do. And so for me to parallel that to Xavier Legette is like, yeah, am I really happy that this guy's succeeding? Is like, but to me, the answer is easily Coker, because he's not the guy that's supposed to be doing this. So I'm glad, man. And Legette hasn't just destroyed it. And I don't think it's his, I think there's a variety of factors, but I mean, he's still been 3 catches, 60 yards, touchdown, things like that. It's not like we've seen him with a 9-catch, 140-yard game. And I hope that's to come. And I'm really excited about him as a player, but easily Coker. And then Jatavion Sanders, very difficult position to adjust to in the NFL at tight end from college. I'm glad to see him. He's being each week becoming a bigger part of the offense.
For me,
agreed.
Jatavion Sanders is the guy that I don't want to say most excited about, because I'm excited about all of them. Like, we love having these young guys contribute so early, and that way we can envision them all growing and getting better around the same time in their career. And the fact that they're already producing the way that they are, that's heartening. Because like I mentioned before, Tony, we really don't get a lot of these, where we have 3 young contributors that are major parts of what the Panthers are doing. Like, that's a rare feeling for us. We don't get that a lot. But considering that we haven't had a good wide receiver since Greg Olsen, the fact that you see Jatavion Sanders,
you mean a good tight end
over, yeah, that's what I said. What did I say?
No, you said good receiver, which you could argue.
Yes, but no, because I also meant a receiving tight end, right?
Oh, okay.
But a guy that normally tight ends don't come into the NFL being able to block very effectively. That is not the case for Jatavion Sanders. He blocked Brian Burns out of a couple plays against the Giants. I think that his hands are incredibly solid. Doesn't really drop much. Jumps over people. He's willing to put the shoulder down. Like, the dude is just a beast, and I love that he has that number 0. Something about it just, I don't know, it's just badass to me. And we played a little bit of it on the free-for-all, but after the Saints win, the Carolina Panthers put out a mic'd-up video for Jatavion Sanders, and dude, part of his leadership style reminds me a little bit of Cam Newton. He might not be as playful, but, dude, he's ready to get everyone pumped up, excited, getting in everyone's face. I love the leadership of this dude. I love what he has the potential to continue to be going forward as a blocker and as a receiver. And like I have said before, that for a young quarterback, there really isn't a greater weapon than the dependable tight end, just because of the versatility of that position. I'm loving me some Jatavion.
Oh, hey, before we hit this up, can you throw up it's Kyle is Charlotte Sports 1, right?
Yep.
He said, throwback Tony in the house, clean face, flat bill hat, shaved 8 years off. My friend, I'm like I said, turned 43 on Monday. I'm going around that star a different direction, Mug.
Yes,
This
sir.
guy aging backwards. Benjamin Button here, baby. But a little hard work, a little good diet, trying to ease some of that stress. Let's go. And guess what? You know what will ease some stress is when Chuba Hubbard be crashing that rock down people's throat.
Yes, sir, man. Listen, how do we feel that Chuba Hubbard, from a stats perspective and just a badassery perspective, is a top 5 running back in the NFL still? So right now, EPA or 8 running backs have positive EPA in 2024. Chuba Hubbard is at number 5 with 3.1. Another monster week for Chuba Hubbard. 3rd in yards after contact per rush, 5th in EPA per rush, 8th in rush success rate. Only Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley have more rushing yards in 2024. This is why you paid the man. This is it. When you added Gabriel Lewis and Robert Hunt to this offensive line, that was you making a dedication to, one, not only protect the quarterback, but run the fuck out of the football. So why would you not pay Chuba Hubbard, who has continued to grow and get better? He's worked his ass off through 3 different coaching staffs. And now he is literally playing like one of the very best running back in the NFL. Right now, how about this, Tony and CK? If I had to buy a jersey right now of any Panther player on this team, oh, I'm buying that big number 30, baby. Chuba. Chuba. Oh, man, D says. I'm loving it, man. What do y'all think about Chuba through the first 10 weeks?
Like D says, Chuba. I tell you, this is my man that hit me up on Twitter talking about all that hate spew for Bryce Young. He would have been more accurate for me with the Chuba Hubbard stuff. Is look, again, another story to me of how players can improve in this league. Chuba Hubbard is night and day a different player than he was in his rookie year.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's good. That's good. Look, this guy was running furiously. He was running like a thumper behind bad offensive lines. Now my mug's got a good offensive line, and he's putting up numbers, bro. God, good for you. And you know what? Who else would you buy a jersey of, dude? They just extended them, right? If anybody, I don't even know. Somebody got to tell me the details of that. So you got a player who's successful, who's homegrown and doing well and going to be here for a few years. Yeah, that is the jersey to buy.
Yeah. CK, did you ever pull up the numbers for the?
I did. Let me pull them back up here.
Yeah, man. I have some film, some all 22 film up of Chuba Hubbard. And you see the post-contact balance. One, look at Jatavion Sanders getting some work, chipping this edge rusher here on the right, number 45. But Chuba just being patient, waiting for the crease to open up, finding the hole and exploding. The dude is a powerful runner. He's only gotten better as a pass catcher. And the dude has the ability to run away from you. You know, we're so far removed from it. And the narrative being that Matt Rule's wife was the one that wanted to draft him, kind of made him something of a joke early on. But even when you go back to his days at Oklahoma State, Chuba was a dynamic runner out of the backfield, incredibly powerful downhill, and he continues to do that for the Panthers. There are sometimes he even reminds me of like a throwback Jonathan Stewart, the way Jay Stewart just lowered the pads and decide, I'm getting an extra 5 to 7 yards out of this bitch. I love that he has that mentality. I agree with Cardiac Cat 13. Chuba is a dog. CK?
Yeah, so Chuba it was a 4-year extension. Total value is $33.2 million, which isn't ridiculous, to be fair. And it's 8.
Say that one more time.
$33.2 million. His average annual value is going to be $8.3 million per year, and his
How
only
much is guaranteed?
$15 million.
It's not bad at all.
No.
How many years?
4.
Oh yeah. So I mean, you're talking 15 over 4 years. So that is what, 3.5, right? Because you spread the guaranteed money over 4 years, and then you got the base salary. You're not even committed to him. You got him for 2 years. You're probably free to start thinking about different things after that. Yeah. And I think, look, as we know that, I mean, look, you can look at some of the success that the Carolina Panthers have had in the past with 2 backs. And why you do look is like, wow, everybody wants a bell cow, a guy that can do everything. It really is good to have change of pace guys. It's really good to give defenses different looks, and to just kind of balance the reps for some of these guys. So, man, you drafted what you believe to be a dynamic, explosive home run hitter. To me, this looks like Detroit. It looks like Montgomery and what's my man who's
David Montgomery and
somebody help me.
Anthony knows his name. Right. No, what's his name, dude?
I usually always got it. I think
who's the other running back for
Detroit?
The Detroit Lions.
But like, to me, this really looks like that type of duo. Right?
Yeah, it's a dude from Alabama. It's on the tip of my
Jameer Gibbs.
Jameer Gibbs. That was on the tip of my tongue, too.
So their Montgomery and Gibbs is to our Chuba and Brooks.
Yeah, man. And again, we're hoping to see Jonathan Brooks against the Kansas City Chiefs. It's so good that we're coming off, or that we're going into a bye right now. It gives everybody the opportunity to rest up, get healthy. We're also going to see what Canales is like coming off of a bye. All big time stuff. But the final bit of offense that we need to touch on, and then we can jump into some cat calls if you want, Tony. This offensive line just continues to be incredibly impressive. We have Robert Hunt once again grading out with the top PFF grade, but Moulton is up there. Cade Mays has continued to look good at center. To me, if there's anything that tells you the Panthers have hope for the future and what we might be able to build around, it's this offensive line, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, and look, that's what we've been hoping and praying for in Carolina for so long. I mean, in fact, the only thing that was really truly disappointing about this season was not necessarily the Panthers' record, but at one point the thought that Bryce Young was not going to be part of Carolina's future plans. But look, we have been, since the day you two both have come on this podcast, we have been calling to build that wall for whoever the hell was the quarterback.
Build that wall.
And look, you added 2 pieces. And to be honest, you ain't done, folks.
No.
You ain't done. But what you did is you did like, what is it? Like triage to a terrible offensive line by adding these 2 big guys. You also have Brady Christensen, who looks like he could be a starting center. And then I know there's going to be debate about those other things. But you do have an aging Taylor Moton. You do need to be able to prepare for injuries in the future. Now, how do you do that? Do you kind of, pad some guys supplementally in the draft when there are dudes and dogs there that you think are the ones? Do you maybe find a little couple of retread gems in free agency? But hell yeah. Thank God our offensive line isn't. To me, I think it's just been strange. Like, we were so bad this season and we weren't crying about the offensive line. It just didn't even make sense to me. Like, it was like, this is the first time our offensive line doesn't stink and we're still bad.
Yeah, on one of the worst teams, Panthers teams that we've ever seen, we have one of the best offensive lines that we've ever seen, with some of the best depth at offensive line that we've ever seen. It's truly absurd. We have a 2-minute Brian Baldinger breakdown. Would y'all like to hear it after?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. CK, did you want to go first? Did you want to say something about the O-line?
No, man, I think, again, I said it on Sunday on Sunday. I think there's some value that it's just, you want to give credit to these players because they're good, but I mean, I'm just telling you, there's something about the coaching that's allowing these guys to excel at the level that they are. Nobody on this God's green earth thought that we were going to have Cade Mays be a respectable center for us. To have just this entire offensive line remain as an iron wall. Protecting Bryce. 1 sack against a team that's averaging 6 sacks a game or something like that. Like 1 sack, and that was the first play of the game, and that was literally it.
With a first-time left tackle, right? I don't know if Brady Christensen had played a full game at left tackle, or maybe his second game total with Cade Mays at center. It wasn't like we were just going in there with the same start in front that we had all year. No, and then we're going to hear people talk about how Brady Christensen was getting worked.
Dude, it's so stupid, and it pisses me off so bad. It's like there's a concerted effort to shit on Brady Christensen.
Is this where Coker throws Brian Burns?
There's a few. Yeah, Coker, but he gets in some work here. Dude, shout out to Brady Christensen. The amount of slander that this dude takes from fucking know-it-alls on Twitter is absolutely embarrassing, dudes. BC has been a beast for the Panthers, and we need to pay him this offseason. He can play every position on the O-line, and he's probably good enough to be your starting center. Whatever, dude. I digress. Here's Brian Baldinger. Dude, shout out to Brian Baldinger. He has done
just trying to stir up shit.
He has done like a breakdown for the Panthers offensive line every week now that the Panthers have played. So shout out to him. He gives some love to Robert Hunt. Check him out.
Consistently well is run the ball. Chuba Hubbard's having a great season. This is toss crack. All right, Coker gets a down block on Brian Burns, and here comes Christensen. He gets a block. Hubbard makes Dane Belton miss. Like, he goes for 26 yards. So it was so good, they decided, well, let's run it this side. Let's get Xavier Leggett right here to down block on Burns right here. All right? And now let's get Taylor Moton out wide and let Tim get a block on Deontay Banks, and Chuba Hubbard goes for 26 more yards on the exact same play, and nobody from the Giants seems to be able to tackle anybody. All right, now you get a power pistol with Jatavian Sanders right there. Now watch him inside, because it all starts right here with Robert Hunt. Moton, look at the push right here at the point. Oh! And Chuba Hubbard's just so patient. And then he keeps breaking tackles. All right? That's a consistent factor.
Robert Hunt,
watch the movement right here. Cade Mays, Robert Hunt. Like, look at the push. Robert Hunt just big on big. And
look, one arm in that dude.
Chuba just finished it. He just puts his head right in the solar plexus. 3rd and 1. Watch Sanders here on the fold block. 3rd and 1, fold. Cade Mays, fold. Hubbard breaks the tackle. Drew Phillips, he's off and running. Like 25 more yards.
We're talking 3 yards, 3 carries, 75 yards, dude.
Dude, this O-line mixed with Chuba Hubbard is one of the best rushing attacks the Panthers have ever had, ever. And we're a team known for running the football.
If you ain't getting that Chuba Hubbard jersey, Robert Hunt might be one.
Yeah, man. Bid number 50 and bid number 30. Those are the ones to grab.
Well, and on top of that, he's been he comes in here as a free agent. Yeah, he's going to be here for a minute, but very vocal leadership role in the locker room.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it. I also love you know what I love about this video too is that the 3 rookies they got a little eating on those.
They all got work, and they got some action on Brian Burns, no less, man. I love that.
Yeah. And you know what? Baldinger has been just he's noticed this all season.
He has, dude. He's showing a ton of love to this O-line out here.
They deliver a puncture wound to the Giants. Dexter Lawrence, right? Nunez Roches right there. Look at this. Look at this movement. Look at Hubbard just hugging it. Man, Mays has been great in there at center.
He's really starting to
gain a yard when you need a yard.
Yeah.
Down on the goal line, right? Go up 17-7. Here you go. Watch Robert Hunt. Watch him snap his hips and get movement up to Okereke. Now, this is an offensive lineman celebration. This right here is priceless. Hunt just pounding the ground in glory and
knows.
celebration. Like, give me a sign
He
when
doesn't
this
have to
win
look.
is in the bag. I need one. It's good stuff, man. It's just good stuff.
It's just good stuff, man. Shout out to Brian Baldinger showing the Panthers that love. Dude, Robert Hunt and this O-line just continue to be incredible badasses. I love what they're doing. I think that this is an incredible moment in time for the Panthers and their ability to run the football, man. I hope that we build on it.
Maybe Robert Hunt's the biggest dog on this team since like freaking Star Latulele.
Oh, he's up there, dude.
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm going to make a prediction right now because we have a lot of people in the chat talking about Jonathan Brooks, right? Or at least a few. I think that with this offensive line and Chuba Hubbard and Jonathan Brooks, I think Jonathan Brooks, his first play is going to be a big gainer. And I think it's going to be, I'm predicting now, Jonathan Brooks' first play from scrimmage, touchdown.
Oh, heck
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying.
Imagine, oh, perfect. I tell you this, a great way to put this out is C3 Panthers Podcast brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Wonderful place to play daily fantasy football. It's the place to play if you are a sports fan looking to money while watching sports. With over 5 million happy players and $2 billion won, Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in all your favorite athletes' performances. Talk about this. You use the promo code C3P, you can get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. And they're always hooking you up with cool promos. I just opened up Underdog right now. Promo for me, higher or lower, LeBron James, half point. LeBron just got to go out there and make 1 point. You couple that with a Jonathan Brooks touchdown, heck yeah. But I tell you another thing you should do. You should go to UnderdogFantasy.com, or maybe even easier, download the Underdog app. You use that promo code C3P, and not only you get your bonus cash, you just go Chuba Hubbard more than each and every week. Why don't you just do that? I mean, it would have worked for the last 3 weeks. Maybe the odds makers, the projection guys are starting to catch on. Let's check the Carolina Panthers. See, oh, well, you know what? They got a bye this week, so they won't have anything up there. Trending players, let's see. Jalen Hurts, Washington, Thursday night versus Washington. Big game, division game. Philadelphia heading to Washington. Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, matchup of two exciting quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts, 222.5 passing yards. You hit higher or lower. 1.5 passing touchdowns. I tell you this, that might be an interesting one right there because Washington's secondary, I mean, without Lattimore, has been giving up giant plays all season. So they just got Lattimore in a trade. You can even get him for 0.5. If he gets a rushing, will he get a rushing touchdown? And you know how they love the tush push. Don't forget, go to Underdog, but most importantly for us, or most helpful to us, is to use the promo code C3P. I've done it. I love it. I have a fun looking at that Chuba Hubbard stat. I love those promos. Don't forget, download the app today and use the promo code C3P and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's C3P. That's the promo code. We need you to use it to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. You know, so hey, Cody, you know what? We know that everybody's got their strengths. And I tell you, one thing you're good at is the disclaimer.
Yes, sir. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-New York, or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. Thank you to Underdog Fantasy, who's helping us out all the way through February and the playoffs. Use that code CP3 or C3P. That helps us tremendously, helps the podcast to continue to grow. Tony, would you like to take some cat calls?
You know it, man. It's time to hear from you guys. We want to hear what your thoughts on the Carolina Panthers, on Bryce Young, on Adam Thielen, or whatever the hell you want to talk about. The number's 252-228-5098. Leave a message. We'll play it, yo. Let's go.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use
one? Spricht der Deutsch? Yo, it's the real AP. We got another dub. No matter how ugly, we got a W. I predicted 4 to 7 wins in our earlier poll on this podcast. Way back. How many wins we're going to get? We're at 3 now. But just need one more to make myself feel good. Feeling good. Chuba went off today in my fantasy league. I got like 24 some points. Almost 25 points from Chuba. Man, and he got paid. He got the bag. But guys, on the real note, I can see, a real football fan, just not a Panthers fan, but a football fan, you can see things starting to gel together. I know we won against 2 shitty teams. We're shitty, but a win is a win. And what can you do? What else do you expect? Am I saying Bryce's answer? I don't know yet. Not been a Bryce hater, not been a Bryce lover. But definitely not the next Cam. Not, he just does what he got to do. Like Cam said months ago, he's a game manager right now. He's managing it these past 2 games. And I hope the dude gets better, man. I really do. For the sake of our franchise. What else can you ask the guy? Those first 2 games and last season, no, he wasn't looking great, but he has. I'll admit he's gotten progressively better. And these rookies have stepped up. Coker, Leggett, Sanders, number 0 Sanders. Miles, I don't know where he's at. He's just hanging out there in limbo somewhere. But anyway, it's a great win. I'm happy. And we just keep moving forward, man. But I really believe the foundations have been laid, and you can start seeing these players, these rookies starting to work. Even though it's going to be against shitty teams, but they're starting to gel together. Love you guys. Keep pounding.
Great call to start the night, followed by a great comment right here from Jerry. Richardson and Levis are busts. Stroud is having a backwards year. Let's see if Bryce can end up being the best in the draft. I think with Stroud, and look, I have not watched him as closely so it's kind of – isn't at some point it had you kind of more than likely, unless you're Justin Jefferson.
Yeah,
you're regressing to the mean a little bit.
Yeah. I think that's fair. It is interesting to see the parallels. Nobody is, by the way, saying that Bryce right now is better than Stroud. I don't think. Let me rephrase. Nobody within their right mind is saying that. But I tell you what, a lot of the excuses that are coming for Caleb Williams and coming for CJ Stroud this year and are the exact same excuses being said for Bryce last year. He didn't really have an offensive line. He doesn't have the weapons, all that stuff. The Stroud situation is interesting because, we had said it last year. I said, for instance, the game he played against us, when you don't have your Pro Bowl receivers, you see Stroud take a really big step backwards. And I think that that's fair. And that's fair to say that that's the case for him because, let's be real about it. We've seen how many quarterbacks not be good in this league until they had a Pro Bowl wide receiver. That doesn't mean that Stroud isn't a good good quarterback. I think it's just to show that there is a need for complementary football for these guys to actually show out who they are.
Yeah, and look, Stroud and the Texans just hit lightning in a bottle last year.
Yeah.
So again, regressing to the mean is, something that happens more often than not, right? And then the second is, and also cool about the comment and the call is like, look, is these guys' careers aren't decided in a single year.
Yeah.
So, look, you can have one great season, a rookie season, and Bryce could go on and have a better career. I hope we all are hoping for, we're all hoping for that, but hey, happy about the progression, like the caller said.
Yep.
And I'll say one thing too. I like the fact that Dave Canales hasn't been overly complimentary too, because I feel like there is this air of making Bryce go out there and earn it.
Yeah.
Go and earn it. Everything was gifted to you. Everyone said that you were the second coming. Well, now no one really for sure believes that about you. So if that's who you really are, go out there and prove it. I like the fact that he hasn't come out and straight up endorsed Bryce and said, Bryce, that's going to be our starting quarterback now moving forward. I like that he hasn't given him that ringing endorsement. I think Bryce is playing a little better post-benching and knowing that he has a lot on the line.
I saw somebody offer a comment earlier in the show. We didn't get to talk about it, but that Canales hasn't given the game ball to Bryce yet.
I don't think I've seen him give a game ball out at all.
I don't know. But I would say this is why, of course it's being given to Chuba.
Right. I think when I was watching the locker room speech, he was going over the highs of the team, but I don't think he ever outright said that somebody was getting a game ball.
I don't know, man. I would just say is how could you not give it to Chuba?
I know that's the tough part. It's like, how do you not? You're absolutely right. I think Cody was having some trouble with his connection, so he'll probably drop out and come back in.
All right, word up. Let's go to the next call. The number's 252-228-5098.
Just real quick, watching y'all show. Cody running his mouth.
Just in the post game.
Also, bet after this bye, I told people at work, we give KC their first. That's the way I feel. Been saying it for 6 weeks now. Love you guys. Love the fam. Love the chat. Peace out. Keep pounding.
Great stuff there. And interested. Imagine. Look, it seems like is Kansas City still undefeated?
Yeah.
Yes, dude. They've won. They've won off of a blocked field goal.
Yeah,
they really shouldn't be. They have every single game this season. They have been behind. Like they've only lost. I think they've only won by one possession on all their losses or all their wins. I could be wrong, but
I saw somebody in our chat though saying like, well, Denver almost beat and Denver should have won. And like, if that, Denver's defense just shellacked us. You know what I'm saying? So look, I'm not going and picking the Panthers, but it would be cool if it was.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if it happened. Hey, and wouldn't it be cool if Bryce's coming out party was on a stage that would get that much celebration?
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, what if like there is so much on the line? Like, number one, the benefit is like we don't have any expectations. Nobody's expecting the Panthers to win against KC. Quite honestly, I think most people are thinking we're going to get shellacked, right? But I tell you what would that do to this fan base if we came out and we made a statement? Like, that would be the most exciting thing. Could you imagine the post-game show?
Oh, God.
Dude, like the post-game show would be like ridiculous. I know we're just sitting here in fantasy land right now, but I'm telling you, if we came out and we did had some magic things happen and that after the bye week, like it's crazy. Right now, just keep in mind which is a possibility based on what we saw last week. If the Falcons lose during the bye week, we're only 2 games out. By the way, like that's the crazy thing about this division is we're really not out of the race.
Oh,
is it a real possibility? No,
we're not out of it. And dude, this division sucks. It sucks. I saw Red Swarm in the chat earlier. I'm sorry, the Falcons are frauds. I don't care what people think of Kirk Cousins. They're not as good as people made them out to be. The Saints barely get shit together. We've already beaten them. Tampa Bay has not looked good since they started off hot.
Nah, Tampa Bay has not been Tampa Bay. And I just saw
it doesn't matter. We have the
he
best.
said that we're trash, and he's right. But look, is that they don't have any receivers now.
But it doesn't matter. Right now, I think that we're in a better position than some of those teams, man. And I think now that you've added some pieces to the defense that we're going to talk about here in a minute, you have Ashawn Robinson playing better. You have J.C. Horn looking like he is a shutdown corner and easily the best corner in the NFC South right now. I don't know, Tony Dunn. We're going to have this conversation. Let's take another call.
We're on call 3.
Yep.
To the tenacious Tony Dunn, the charismatic CK, and yes, we're talking about the incomparable Cody Lack. What's going on, everybody? This ain't nobody but your boy CP, the vintage retro man, North Carolina's neighborhood hope dealer. Hey, peep this. Got home from church on Sunday. Saw the score to the game. Was ecstatic. Man, go Panthers, you know what I'm saying? So I got a hot take. So after the bye week, right? We beat the Chiefs. They fire Andy Reid, and he becomes our offensive coordinator for the rest of this season and our head coach next season. Let's go. No, I'm just playing. We all know that ain't going to happen.
You got that real hope, yeah.
Look, man, Dan Morgan, he's obviously building something. It's really cool to see that we're winning despite bad play calling from Canales. I know he's a first-year head coach, so it is what it is. But I do got a question. I got a question for you guys. Do we hold on to Bryce after this season, but still maybe draft a developmental quarterback in the later rounds of next year's draft? Maybe somebody that Bryce can learn from, maybe even compete with. I'm just saying, sometimes it's teaching that brings the best out of a student. Right now, Bryce is still learning. Maybe if he's got somebody he can help develop. I don't know. I was just thinking about that. But anyway, boys, it's the Hope Dealer checking in. Love y'all, man. Great show. Keep pounding.
Ooh,
Keep pounding. Take it, Tony.
CK, tell me why you say yes, because I don't agree. I agree with the holding on Bryce, but I don't know if I agree with drafting another quarterback even mid-rounds.
Well, I think when I look at with the amount of draft picks we have, number one, I think they're going to take a flyer on a guy that has the potential to be something.
Okay.
I don't think, no matter how this season ends, I don't think they're going to roll the dice and hope that it works out with Bryce without there being an effort at trying to develop somebody else on the back end. So I think there is a possibility that they're going after a quarterback in the draft again at the later rounds. I don't think.
Or mid. I mean, you could go into third. A guy drops to fourth, second, even. I mean, like you could like a late. You know, what I mean.
See, if you put a second rounder, I think you're putting a lot of undue stress on Bryce. If you really have hope that he can be the guy, like you go second, you're talking about a guy that you're thinking could be the guy, right? It's not a guarantee. If he was in the first, if it was a Penix situation with Kirk Cousins, then I think you're adding an extra layer of conversation that doesn't need to be there for a guy who's still trying to get his confidence back. But I do think that it's not out of the question that they go quarterback just out of a pure abundance of caution. We do have a lot of holes on this team, but once you get to the third and fourth round, I think trading back and acquiring more draft capital is not something that's out of the question, and allowing you to draft one of those guys and still having something to look forward to with another pick.
To me, it just depends on what Bryce does with the rest of his time as a starter the rest of this year.
Yeah.
If he's able to continue to take a step forward and grow, then I agree with Tony. We don't need to be taking a quarterback at all. We need to continue to build. We need to put players on defense. We need to hit some of the young defensive players just as much as we did this year with the offensive players like Coker and Sanders and Liggett. But we're going to need more defensive players in free agency. And if we're not having to draft a quarterback, then good. We don't want to have to draft a quarterback. Even the Bryce Young doubters amongst us don't want to play the quarterback roulette wheel all the time. That being said, if he starts to throw interceptions left and right and takes a step backward, no, I'm not ready to say that you don't draft a quarterback under any circumstances. It's going to depend where the Panthers are picking. If we're picking in the top 5, that's going to matter to the conversation.
Yeah.
And it's going to matter what we do in free agency and how Bryce looks throughout the end of this season. Because right now, all those options that we all just theorized about, in my opinion, they're all on the table.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I think CK just convinced me, basically. I don't think the Panthers are going to be taking a quarterback in the top 10 period. I think there's other reasons. Now, I mean, maybe if there's some great who knows? You got to see where the draft goes. I think Cody's right, too. You need to, let's hold up. We need to see the rest of the season play out. But if this incremental progression happens, my first thought, CK, was don't worry about the quarterback in mid-rounds. Secure a veteran quarterback in case Bryce doesn't work. But I like your rationale. I think you've convinced me, too, that anything above a third starts to put this weird kind of just situation that's maybe unnecessary.
Yeah.
But even if you go quarterback 4th round, you still need a vet, too.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take out of the question that you're still pursuing another quarterback. So I think that the rest of this season is going to really dictate how we move forward. Logically, I think that's the most common sense thing I could have possibly said there. But if, as Cody said, if Bryce Young continues to impress, I think that they will go veteran potentially in the draft. If Bryce Young continues to just play like he's playing now, I think that you could see them pursue a guy in the draft. If Bryce Young just completely does a horrible job, I think they are pursuing aggressively a veteran
and the draft.
And the draft. Just because I think that they're going to go after a guy who can help us actually win now, as they're trying to. I think we're 1.5, one good draft and a good free agency away from filling the holes that we have on the defense. And so the biggest question mark is going to be the quarterback.
The real AP said, my man trying to get us to OD on hope with that statement. But I think the Andy Reid, but fun. First callers, undefeated so far tonight. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Hey, guys, it's John B. Jenkins, and let's see if the third time can be the charm. Hamala Vita. How about our Panthers winning in Germany? That game was awesome. I loved it. I love the fact that it started at 9. I love the fact that it ended at 1. I got to watch it on the big screen with the surround sound. I kicked my kids off the TV. I told them to grab the tablet and the Switch so Dad could watch this game. Also, Tony, happy birthday. What an awesome day to have your birthday and get to do the podcast with all your friends. Happy birthday, my man. And then I wanted to send a special shout-out to 2 of my coworkers, Clayton and Chris. I hope y'all are listening. I've been telling them about the show at work. And so hopefully we got 2 more members of the Panther community here. Got something to talk about with our Panthers Wroclaw. We've got a new quarterback in town, DJ Irons from the Akron Zips. The dude's 6'4", 220 pounds. So hopefully he brings that physical presence to our Polish brethren. And then what else do I got here? Well, the sound that you're hearing in the background is my son's hockey team, the Hillsboro Hogs, up here in Orange County. They are currently 5-2-1. He is on the advanced team, so I'm going to do a little dad bragging here. But yeah, that's about all I got. As always, keep pounding Carolina Panthers. Keep pounding Panthers Wroclaw, and keep pounding C3. John B. Jenkins out.
John B. Jenkins, thank you, man. Another great example of the family that we have through C3 is we're together, man. People message me for my birthday, but more importantly than that, I mean, thank you for any birthday wishes that were sent my way and stuff. But I mean, like Cody, you said, look, I mean, you're the first to extend a happy birthday, but really the more important part was the great friendships we've developed. And I tell you, this is, there's been moments that aren't celebratory that people reach out to me and vice versa, I think. So look, all y'all, John B. Jenkins, everybody in the chat, all the callers, D's, the real AP, D from Sanford, Anthony, Ken, all of these people, bro. Like, I mean, too many to highlight all the time. You mean a ton to me. Appreciate it. And yeah, let's go around this planet in the opposite direction than the rest of the people, bro. Or around this star, not around this planet. Sorry. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yo, what's going on, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte. Hope your boys are having a good
What's up,
Tuesday. I saw the title of the show, so I wanted to call in. Great win last Sunday. Great environment. Glad the locker room seems happy. You know, I haven't given a lot of credit this season, but I am going to give some credit. Dan Morgan definitely drafted a lot of good players. I think there's a really strong young nucleus that we should be excited about going into the future. I know we still have questions about head coach and quarterback, and there's a lot of things, but, you know, there's definitely, you know, Trevin Wallace, JT Sanders, Coker, Leggett. We haven't seen what Brooks is like yet. Chuba Hubbard, offensive line under contract. There's definitely a lot of positives. There's definitely stuff you can build on. For the first time in a little bit, you can see that there's a path where you fix up a couple things, you draft some more pieces, and you can see this young team being successful in the near future. I think, you know, in past years it wasn't necessarily like that because we haven't been hitting on draft picks, and we're not used to draft picks, you know, being
right.
Of such a high impact right away. You know, like, you got to give credit to Dan Morgan. This is what I said all off season, you know, through March, April, May, through the summer. You know, I said build through the draft. You're not going to be able to rely on free agents that come in here and make the most impact on our team. You have to draft young nucleus players, especially when you're an organization that's had a bad reputation from an owner's perspective, and you've had to overpay players, and you've had this head coaching carousel. This is how you build a team. So I'm going to give credit to Dan Morgan. I was very skeptical about him being the GM, but as of right now, he really hasn't done anything that shocked me to the where I'm like, yeah, I don't know about this. You got Adam Thielen coming back, so I think he'll be a nice presence. I think that's the only reason why they kept him, is like, keep him the rest of the season. Just let him help the younger guys develop. They got to go get another wide receiver somehow, a real dog wide receiver, you know, like try to go after a big guy. Hey, man, I'd love to have DJ Moore back. As for Canales, I think he's been okay, just okay. That can change in the near future based on what happens. But the main question, can the Panthers compete in the NFC South? No, they cannot. The reason I say no is, I understand we won 2 in a row, but we played really bad at really bad teams, and we barely squeaked out. I'm happy, the fan base is happy, and I'm happy too, but I'm just giving you guys my honest opinion. The schedule's hard. I think it's going to take a couple years.
You're not wrong, Anthony. I agree with Anthony. And we only got one more call, but let's take that call and then come back to it because our final discussion is on that, I believe.
Yeah.
What's up, fellas? It's the Cardiac Cat 13. I just wanted to call and give some more credit to our offensive line because we're down 2 starters, and they are still blowing up holes for Chuba Hubbard. And Chuba is punching that ball down motherfuckers' throats. So y'all give it up for our running game. All right. Talk to you guys later. Peace.
Oh, awesome, man. Great calls tonight. And don't forget, we'll be taking we're taking more calls as life goes on. We're here every Tuesday night, and here after the games this week. We have a bye week, so maybe a little respite. Maybe we surprise you. Who knows? Final topic, I believe, of the show tonight is.
Well, we have the defense left to go through.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. All right, let's do this.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the playoff picture as it currently sits right now. And so you're telling me there's a chance, boys. Right now, at the top of the NFC is the Detroit Lions. The division leaders are the Eagles, the Falcons, the Cardinals. The wild card teams are the Vikings, the Commanders, and Green Bay. Then you have a bunch of teams that are in the hunt. And you have the 49ers, the Buccaneers, the Rams, the Cowboys, the Bears, the Saints, the Seahawks. And right there, nestled in at the very bottom right of that screen, is the Carolina Panthers. And boys, listen, I'm just saying, the back half of this schedule
is
I'm gonna be
good,
real.
dude.
It doesn't.
Shut up.
Shut up. The back half of the schedule does not look anywhere near as terrifying as it did before the year. We're gonna face a Cowboys team that is minus Dak Prescott. We're gonna face a Tampa Bay team twice that is without their better wide receivers. Who else are we gonna play? We're gonna play the Chiefs. Is the biggest test that we're gonna face, bar none, hands down. Right? Don't we play Philadelphia? Philadelphia is a good team, but I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like there could maybe be a wild card in here. We would just need a bunch of other things to happen before the Panthers get to that point. But if we're able to run the football, keep opposing offenses on the field, and if the defense can do just enough, I don't know, man. I'm just saying, I think crazier things have happened.
We have the third hardest schedule out of any team in the NFL remaining for the year.
As of right now, ranking us now?
Yeah.
So who are the teams we have in front of us?
Dude, we have Kansas City. We have Philadelphia. We have Dallas. I think I still got – actually, I'll give you the order right here.
KC and Philly are tough.
No, then we got the Chiefs. We host the Chiefs. We host the Bucks. Then we go on the road to the Eagles. Then we play the Cowboys at home, which, by the way, if it would be better to play the Cowboys at their house. Cardinals, we have a lot of home games. Cardinals, then we're on the road. We host the Cardinals, then we're on the road against the Bucks, and we finish on the road against the Falcons. I tell you this right here is I'm not picking the Panthers over the Chiefs. I'm not picking them over the Eagles. I'm not picking them over the Cardinals. You can make an argument where we beat the Cowboys, and you can make an argument where the Carolina Panthers split with the Bucks. Maybe. I don't even feel good against the Falcons. Miss me with this playoff conversation, me personally. But, hey, I might be a pessimist.
It's an uphill climb. There's no doubt about it. But I don't know. I think that we've done some things recently that says that we have a couple more W's here on the schedule. I'm
so sick of this, backing into the playoffs. I don't want to be in the playoffs and us have to play fucking Minnesota and get just destroyed. Or Washington. We couldn't beat any of these teams up here on the main screen, period. Maybe the Falcons. Like, how is this? The San Francisco 49ers are in the hunt. The Chargers better than us. I don't know. Hey, God bless. If the Panthers make the playoffs, there'll be a Christmas, a New Year's Eve present I didn't see coming. Maybe they'll win the division. We'll get a home game.
So, listen, how about DJ Wanham? First game back in Panthers uniform. The first game ever in a Panthers uniform. This tweet courtesy of Edward Salamingo. DJ Wanham had a heck of a debut with 6 tackles, 4 solo tackles, 5 quarterback pressures, 1 sack, 2 QB hits, 2 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, and a 74.7 PFF grade. Listen, Tony, you and I said, CK did too, at the start of the season, that this is one of the worst Panthers defensive lines that we've ever seen. But now, over the past 2 weeks, between Jadeveon and Clowney continuing to step up, now you have this guy back on the field, really wreaking havoc how much does DJ want to mean to this pass rush right now? Me personally, I think a ton. I think the addition of him and the guy that we have next here on the list, Ashawn Robinson, have really
He's been
they have
good.
a ton of
He's
potential
been good all
to be a
season.
game wrecker.
He's been decent. He's been pretty good all season. DJ Wanham, you know what? We were just wondering if he was ever going to play this season. How about that? Way to come back and make a difference. I'm sure where were all the Brian Burns people this past week? And just a note to Panthers Pulse on Twitter. Thanks for tuning in the show. He said, "You really saying you don't want to be in the playoffs because we will lose? That's crazy, man." Maybe if I let me just put it this way: is I don't want to get my hopes up or even think that the Panthers deserve to be in the playoffs. I hate the idea of backing in the playoffs. If we get in the playoffs, I will be surprised.
Every time we've backed into the playoffs, it's not ended well.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you feel that way. But I tell you what, it would do a hell of a lot of good for us moving forward.
Morale,
free agents, from the
one more show where we don't have to talk about the draft.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes you realize that we made the right choice at head coach.
Yeah, that man. So those would all be positives there. I guess the question anyway is, do I think we're making the playoffs? The answer is no. All right, Wanham with him. It's the wobble with. Look, hey, man, if this guy can give us anything right now, it's better than nothing.
It's better than what we've gotten from him up to this point.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
It is, which has been nothing. He hasn't been available. Really, I mean, just happy. Another look is anything we should be celebrating a guy who has had a strange offseason, a strange recovery, and thank God he got back on the field and had some success, and he hasn't found himself either injured again or mired in, muck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also find that this dude, Ashawn Robinson, incredibly impressive, dude. I was really excited about Ashawn
Caused the
Robinson.
Fumble for the.
Yeah, I'm actually going to play a clip of it. He had that peanut punch that gave that fumble back to the Panthers. Dude, 7 total tackles, 2 tackle for loss, 1 sack, 1 quarterback hit, 1 forced fumble. This is from Panthers.com. Defensive end Ashawn Robinson had a day against his former team, forcing the fumble, Jewel recovered in overtime, in addition to his 7 tackles, a sack, a quarterback hurry, and 2 tackles for loss. Against his former team, Robinson got to quarterback Daniel Jones in the third quarter, forcing a Giants punt. This was his 3rd sack of the year, a career high. Robinson also added 7 tackles, 5 solo, 2 tackles for loss, 1 quarterback hit, and a forced fumble. He eclipsed 400 tackles for his career in the 4th quarter. Coming into this game, amongst defensive linemen since 2016, Robinson was tied for 16th in total tackles. I think the combination of these 2 dudes right here, Wanham and Robinson, and you add Jadeveon Clowney finally starting to play better. I saw Mina Kimes on Twitter saying other teams should have traded for Brian Burns, or pardon me, not Burns, Jadeveon Clowney, when they had the opportunity to do so. So this is what I'm saying, Tony. Now all of a sudden, the defensive line is kind of looking up compared to what it was at the start of the year.
Well, going back to I guess we mentioned what Dan Morgan did is, made the decision to not pay Brian Burns the bag. If you think if Derek Brown's there with this bunch, they're not terrible. They're not terrible, maybe. Like, that's kind of what that was what the vision was like. We can get by with this while we invest in the offensive line. So, look, celebrating that. I think Ashawn Robinson has been a strong player for us so far this season on a team that hasn't had any strengths.
This is the peanut punch by Ashawn
Look, and then he gets up on this dude's stomach.
Boom. Good shit, okay?
I mean, save the game. Or maybe, really, look, if people think just because we got the win, guys, that, like, this was in the bag, dude. We let the Giants tie it up.
Back and forth game the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, well, it shouldn't have been. I feel like there were just a couple of opportunities for us to have it go the other way. I mean, number one, you you realize it was a lot closer of a game because we made it a lot easier when Chuba had that reflexive fumble. Which again, I don't even blame that dude for putting the ball on the ground. I'm getting bent back that way with my knee like that after just getting paid. I'm just thinking the same thing. I'm just, oh God, this is of course my luck. And I was literally about to say we need to stop paying anybody because it is anybody we pay. It's from Christian McCaffrey.
What a gift to us that was.
Brown, like, dude, it'd be absolutely insane. But I think that to the point, I think the defensive line is looking up with Wanham up there. I just don't think it's fair to say at this point in time that we're seeing like a resurgence of the defensive line because we haven't really faced. The Giants have a
terrible offensive line.
Yeah, we haven't faced like offensive line that has been just overly impressive. With also, I guess you could say that Alvin Kamara, shutting him down a bit would have been is worthy of some praise on that front. But I just don't think that this defense has been able to stop the run. Even against the Giants, we weren't stopping the run super effectively. They just needed that. They were playing from behind, so they were not putting the ball on the ground very much. And then, like I said, it went into overtime. There was an opportunity to put it away, and we just weren't able to keep that. We weren't able to consistently sustain drives, and we were allowing them to sustain drives there towards the end. So I don't know, man. I'm excited that they're improving, but I just don't think that I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt because this defense was so bad. And
you're absolutely right, CK. They are not good. They're just playing the best they've played all season.
Yeah.
And the last couple of weeks, we got to take away finally. You know what I'm saying? You got to turn over here. They're like, come on. Look, we're still getting gashed. Look, the defense isn't good. It's just like, dang, they're getting better. Bryce is getting better. We're finding anything that the hopium smoking strong.
Yeah. Which, I mean, again, that's the whole point of being a fan is we're looking for something to grab a hold of that gives us hope that, and right now the benefit is we are seeing things that make us optimistic. It doesn't feel as far away as it was in week 3 of our season. Week 3 of our season, we thought this is not like I don't even see an end in sight to this.
Nah,
but
we're
seeing
it's going to get worse and worse.
Right, but we're seeing people such as Trevin Wallace showing up and consistently, like we haven't seen him be a liability. This secondary is playing lights out. I thought he got wobbled, but I don't think he ended up getting knocked out. I think he played the entire game. And then you look at the offensive side of things with those rookies. I mean, dude, right now it looks like we shipped at the beginning of the year. We had Deontay Johnson and you had Mingo. And those were the 2 people you were looking at to be the breakout stars in this offense, hopefully. And they're not even on the offense anymore. And we feel optimistic about what we're seeing. Like that's what's crazy about it. We're seeing an offense that has rookies that provide a tremendous amount of promise, and we haven't even seen, largely considered the best one out of all of them in Jonathan Brooks. So we'll see, man.
Love it. All right.
Love it. Also, we have to talk about J.C. Horn continuing to ball out and look the part that we have wanted to since we drafted him, man. He has been healthy all year, knock on wood. But the dude continues to ball out. And, again, according to Next Gen Stats, J.C. Horn on 42 – he has a 42.9% completion percentage rate allowed and is first in the NFL among cornerbacks.
I tell you this with J.C. Horn is he knows what injury can do to a player. He knows what bad luck can do to a player. The sooner you sign him, the cheaper it will be.
Yeah.
I don't know what the right move is. I don't know if it's to wait to the end of the season. I don't know if it's to make him play on his 5th-year option. But this week will be cheaper than next week as long as he doesn't get hurt. And at the same time, for a guy who really knows what injury can do to a career, that money now might be a little bit more tempting.
Do you feel like the defense hurts his value though? And the reason I say that is because we played this like he plays one side of the field. He does not follow their best receiver. And so they could literally just line up whoever they want at any point away from J.C. Horn and be fine. right? So, I mean, do you think that hurts his stock that we play the defense that we do, where it doesn't allow him to actually shine against the best players on their other team?
I don't know.
I think being on Carolina hurts his stock.
Sure. But I mean, I would argue that when you still see the numbers that he has there, like the thing that's interesting is I would be interested. What I would be more interested in seeing is how many times they throw to him versus other cornerbacks in the league. And so I feel like he doesn't get thrown to his side of the ball, like his side of the field very often at all.
Well, that means that's a good thing, right?
Yeah,
that
exactly.
means that like they're not looking towards that side of the field because they're scared of him.
I think that it's not. I think it's not even just that. I think that he's locking them down too. Like, I mean, but then your point too is if they're shifting their talent to the other side of the field and you're playing the guy that is less than the best player on your team, is like, does that? I don't know. I just think this is that if nobody on Carolina is going to get the biggest bag in the world from any other team either. I think J.C. Horn would get top 5 cornerback money based on the way he's playing this year.
Okay.
I mean, dude, for the most part, he's shut down Malik Neighbors, who has been a sensation for the Giants this year.
That one throw that he broke up, that was actually a
really
really
good. It might be this one. It might be this one.
Dude, he's stride for stride with Neighbors, has this back end acceleration right at the end of the play that breaks this up. Like, look, just like that right there, just you can't, like, that's just great.
Like one of his best plays of the season.
In his hip pocket the whole time. I mean, listen, as soon as Neighbors breaks, he's just with him the entire time. And CK, to that point, it's been a conversation for a while of people complaining that we don't travel with JC as much, meaning like keep him on whoever the number one wide receiver is. I think a lot of that also has to do with the Jero Rivero.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I think that next year, under a new defensive coordinator, I think that we'll continue to see some of that done away with. You will probably see him move around more. But to this point, every time that we put JC on one of the best wide receivers on their team, he comes out victorious the majority of the time.
And when it doesn't, it's always there's always a question mark. Like, it's never really something that you feel like is always on JC. It's like one of these things where it's like it looks like it should have been passed off, and he's trying to pass it off to the next person in the secondary as it's his own, and he's not, and they're not picking it up. So like a lot of times, even when it does look like there's a play made against JC, it's not even because it's a JC mistake. It's because there's a question of whether communication wasn't working correctly on the defense. But that was my point too, Cody. Like, it's the defense that's causing him to lose a bit of value because they are not letting him travel with the best player on the other team. And that's what I wish we would be able to see, because I just don't think you're getting a valid idea of what he's able to be when he's not playing against their best players for more than 60% of the snaps. But I do, to the other point, I think that after this season, I think there is going to be a team that would be willing to pay him high dollar. And I think he would be a pretty, like, if we were on the trade block with him, I think we would get a pretty high, I think we'd get more than what we got for Burns.
Again, every week you wait, the more expensive he'll be if you keep him in Carolina.
Yeah. I think I just wanted to, like, the only thing that gives me hope that he's going to stick around. Obviously, he's got the 5th-year option, right? That part, is not going to be, that's still next year. We still got that to go. But I wouldn't, like, the fact that he is on social media talking about the Panthers and being like, it's the Panthers win and all that stuff, like, gives me hope that he wants to be here. And I'll tell you this, I'll eat my crow too on the other thing with Chuba. I said that Chuba wouldn't want to sign with us, and here he did, like, the week, maybe 3 days later, signs that extension. I don't know, man. It tells me that maybe there's a culture building that we weren't seeing before this week.
Or maybe these are the growing leaders of the team.
Yeah.
All right. Is that it?
That is the set. This is the final slide of the evening. This is with John Ellis was comparing the first 10 games of Panthers head coaches, and Dave Canales 3-7. You see that the best of those was Dom Capers at 4-6, George Seifert at 4-6. Another thing that he went on to mention is that technically the best record was Steve Wilkes, who went 5-5, who went 5-5 as the interim coach.
Well, also remember Ron Rivera they were calling for him to be fired after year 2.
Yeah.
John Fox turned this team around in 2003. Dave Canales. Hey, man, we need something to work, baby. We need something to work.
I like the dude. I really like the dude, man. And I think that we need to continue to give him time to build this offense in his image before we freak out. And listen, I've even said that I didn't love his play calling against the Saints. I thought he had some bonehead play calls against the Giants. I think situationally, Canales can be a little bit better. But again, this is his first year on the job, too.
Yeah.
We have to give him a grace period to grow on the job, to learn on the job, and to continue to let Dan Morgan and Brant Tillis put enough players on this team for him to be able to help grow them in the right direction.
You can't be 2 one-and-done coaches in a row, bro.
No, there won't be. It's 100%. I can promise you with every fiber, and barring there being some domestic violence charge against him, dude is going to be the Carolina Panthers coach for this year and at least a half another year. Like, I'm just being honest with you. There's no shot this dude is going to be 1 and done or 2 and done. Like, it doesn't matter how bad we look next year. I don't think Tepper is going to risk that narrative to start to be painted again.
All right. I think we got one last segment, dude. Don't forget, you can go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com, hit the shop tab, hit gear, and you can get cool things. Like, we got a couple of items out there that are perfect for Christmas. C3 Panthers Podcast t-shirt. It's a next level t-shirt, so it's like the highest quality t-shirt you can get. So at the very least, you get a very comfortable t-shirt. You get the rock or the C3 Panthers logo on the front, or a Panthers Podcast and our logo on the front. Coffee mug, a great one. Great Christmas present for Panther fans. Look, guys, I know, your support, just listening, spending your time is fantastic. But every little bit helps us continue to pay for the podcast, pay for the streaming, stuff like that. I mean, it does add up. So look, smash the thumbs up button, subscribe, consider being a C3 super fan for $1.99 a month, or go and get yourself a cool coffee mug and a cool t-shirt. And you can even get a Shut the Hell Up Panther Pickle t-shirt. Apathy is apathy, still coming when I get some time to get it done. And our final segment, guys, Ice Some Fools Up, the longest running Panthers podcast, the longest running segment. Let's get these fools.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
It's the longest running segment on the longest running Panthers podcast. It's our homage to Steve Smith, where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up, to get it together. Anyone's fair game, from football to family to fun and life. Hey, whatever you want, you can ice them fools up. Cody, I've only got one short one. So what you guys got? We need to bounce around. What's our deal tonight?
I've got 2 of them. CK, you have any?
Mine's just going to be a statement, nothing to really show.
All right, so I'll go first. Again, Tony, we always have to play this game of is or isn't it real or fake?
Well, you know what? At this time, I'm just I assume it's fake, but I love
but
it's real.
I don't know if this is real or not, but I just thought it was stupid and funny. So
hey, I love it already.
Fair enough. Look at this. Look over at this light. Yep. You got that?
Yeah. Yep.
That's hey, really?
Fuck.
Really?
I'm so sorry, guys.
Are you serious?
It's the material.
Are you serious?
I mean, that's pretty real.
Oh my God.
Wow. So Buddy really needs to ice up.
Can you blame the dude?
No.
Hey, if anything, how is this? While it's funny to them, he's in a green suit. Nobody's gonna see it on
the reason that I thought it might be fake is like, dude, are you not wearing any pants underneath the suit? You know what I'm saying? Like, you just have a green
Or
screen
like the
on.
other people didn't notice it. She was the first one.
Yeah, like, dude, that's what I'm saying. I think that it could have been fake.
Also, let's be real about it. It doesn't get to that point in like under clothes unless you make it get to that point. Like the clothes do a pretty good job of stopping it from getting up to that point.
Well, that's what Cody's saying is there's no clothes.
Yeah.
He went straight with the thin green suit.
Even
Yeah,
with the
that's what I'm
green,
saying,
even with
but
the
it's
green
just-
suit, like
it's
that
just
green
free
suit's tight
balling.
enough to where that thing wouldn't get up to that angle without him intentionally
Yeah.
doing so.
Yeah. All right. 10 Hut. Salute.
And then I'm just icing up badass little kids who always got to find some way to ruin the moment. Fucking gosh, Aaron Jets.
Also
Oh, my God.
another one that is probably fake.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, man, ice up, snot nose, little ass kids, always trying to ruin shit. And yeah, wear pants under your green suit if you gotta work with a babe in a bikini.
All right. Ice up. My ice up pick, look, it's more just in a reflection because of the political season. I have been apolitical, the most apolitical in my entire adult life over the last 5 years and over the last 10 years in general. But what I would say is this, and look, it is actually very funny, is I'm unregistered, unaffiliated, because in North Carolina it gives you a huge advantage in the primaries. I get to pick which primary I want to vote in, and generally I pick the primary where the incumbent is not in it, because that means, you really have a chance of, picking who's running, right? So that's one of the reasons I'm unaffiliated. The other reason is I'm not a party line tower of anything. Really kind of a funny thing this season, this political season, which I really like watched like the least amount of political coverage in the history of my life this year. But anybody who was a Trump supporter assumed I was voting for Kamala. And anybody who was a Kamala supporter assumed I was voting for Trump. I was like, tell me what? Like, I don't know why, but like, it was really funny, all that. But what I'm icing up is just hyperbole from in life, right? So like, I mean, you really get to see it at its fullest in politics. You can see it in Twitter when it comes to football discussion. Hyperbole hits. It hits hard for retweets. It hits hard for likes. It also really works in campaigns and crap like that. But it really doesn't help us progress as a nation or people or any discussion, whether it becomes the Carolina Panthers or this and that. So what I'm icing up is hyperbole, and I'm encouraging a reasonableness of, like, it doesn't mean you got to agree with other people. It doesn't mean you got to sacrifice your values or whatever that may be. But let's have honest, real, fruitful discussions in life. That's it. Ice up.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, mine's along the same lines, man. What I want to say is, so at work the day after, I had multiple people say things in a very derogatory way because of the outcome. And one of the things that somebody said was, I'm so disgusted by Americans, by my fellow Americans. And I was just like, my first thought in that moment was, that I just couldn't believe that somebody would say that outright, knowing that most likely the people around you probably voted along the opposite sides of what you thought. And it was so frustrating to hear that. And then, my manager who is gay and he's married to a man from Colombia who's a citizen through marriage. He's legitimately concerned that his right to be married to his husband is going to be revoked, and then in turn his husband's going to be deported because he's only a citizen through marriage. And as ridiculous as many of us feel like that sounds, like, he's legitimately scared.
Terrifying.
And terrified. And so to me, my thing is I'm icing up every side of this that, you know, that is legitimately just not understanding the other side, right? Like if you're making fun of the people who are saying I'm moving to Canada or all of that, like are they moving to Canada? Probably not, right? But it doesn't mean that their feelings of how they feel is invalid. Like I just don't think that it's fair to just say that they're being ridiculous because they have been fed a lot of information that makes them believe that what they're feeling is true. And the same thing goes the other direction, right? The people who believe that, you know, that the America is absolutely bigoted and every person like that's so frustrating to me that people believe that they would rather have voted for Trump than a black woman. Like that is just so ridiculous to me because your first thought is that's the reason, and it has nothing to do with your circumventing democracy and implanting a candidate in that position that nobody really knows and nobody liked before they became the candidate. Like the lowest approval ratings of any vice president in the past 50 years, right? Like your belief was that people voted against her because of one thing instead of looking inward and saying, hey, listen, maybe there's other reasons. That's the reason that this was lost, is that the party was like a party that was focused on identity politics as opposed to actually the things that matter to most Americans. Like that, I'm icing up people on both sides of this because it's just there's a lack of empathy, and we need to get back to a point where we're able to see things from other people's perspective. And right now, stop sitting in your echo chambers. Stop watching the Daily Wire and not seeing the other side of the argument. Stop watching MSNBC and not seeing the other side of the argument. Right now, you're so in this echo chamber that we believe the extremes on both sides of this with no ability to understand. And I think the majority of America is the middle ground here. I think the majority of America is looking at is you know, like a Joe Rogan who has voted on one side, but maybe switched their vote because they're seeing the answers on both sides and they've chosen based on that information. We just got to get out of these echo chambers. We got to break the algorithm and stop letting it feed us just information that's going to divide us. That's only going to make things harder. Just keep moving forward and just be willing to you know, accept that other people have differing opinions and it's okay.
Well, if YouTube is considered social media, stick with us on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. and after the games. But other than that, get off social media and get in the gym, folks.
Hey, what's that saying that the kids were saying? Touch grass. That's a good idea.
Sounds cool.
Go outside, touch grass, take a breath. And I agree with everything CK said, man. You have to make sure that you're listening to everyone. I think the winners need to do a better job being winners. And I think the losers need to do a better job being losers. And I think that
go touch grass, folks. It's good for your soul. Grounding.
Yeah, man. And also, you know, don't cut people off for their political beliefs because then you're not building bridges anymore. You're just separating everybody by their political beliefs. And politics is the devil, man. It's meant to separate you from your family, friends, and loved ones. Don't let it be above it.
Unless they're Saints fans.
Yeah, and then in that case, fuck them. Or Falcons fans, too. Fuck them,
and you
too.
can still kind of love them because Cody's brother is a Saints fan. But we can say fuck him, though, and not feel that bad about it.
I go right up to him and I tell him to fuck his fucking Saints. That's what
Perfect. And you know what? And we can all live tomorrow happily. We almost did it in 2 hours, Cody. We almost did it in 2 hours. Can you take us the hell out of here, bro?
Man, you know I can. Listen, C3 Legion, we appreciate y'all. Until this Friday at 7 p.m. when we do another edition of the C3 Friday Free for All. I'm Cody Lashley. That's the Professor Tony Dunn. That's CK, the voice that makes them moist. C3 Legion. Until next time, keep pounding.